Okay, so before we started, please make sure that you have the snapping setting like like a like this. So you need to turn on the grid mode, okay, grid display, and then here in the snap mode you need to turn it off because so far we don't need to use it. So if you recall, we can always do the setting for this two by right-click this two. Either will work. Click setting, and you can do the setting for these two toggles. Okay, so except that you need to turn off the auto mode, and then this one, the object snap, is very important for us later. But it doesn't really matter like whether you turn it off and you turn it on. And also, if you right-click, you can always set all the settings. It doesn't matter which one is on or off yet. It really depends on which command we need to use and what purpose we have. So the rest you need to make sure as well. So just in case, like if you don't have a navigation bar, you can always type in the command bar the nav bar, okay, to turn it on. Okay. And the command bar, if you miss command bar, you can always hit Control 9 to turn it back on. Okay, so then now let's get started. Now I'm gonna use the rectangle tool to create a rectangle with dimension 10 with a dimension 20 by 10. Okay, so I'm gonna randomly pick a place, and then now instead of specify the other point, you see the command bar said to specify the other corner. Instead of that, I'm gonna specify the dimension. So I'm gonna hit D, hit enter, and then now I'm gonna specify the length of the rectangle. So I'm gonna hit 20 as the length, and then hit 10 as the width. Okay. Once I'm done, I have 4 places to go because I only specify the one corner of this rectangle, right? So I'm gonna, because in this product it doesn't matter where I put, so it's gonna put it here and click. So now I just done with the drawing of this rectangle with dimension 20 by 10. Okay. So once I'm done, I'm gonna draw the 6 circles, 6 holes on it, okay, with offset as the 1 to all the edges. So I'm gonna launch my offset tool, okay, and then in the command bar, I'm gonna do the offset distance as 1. So I'm gonna hit 1, enter, and then I'm gonna select this rectangle, and then specify the point on the side to offset here in the command bar. So I'm going to hit inside instead of outside. Okay, hit inside, and then I will see this inner rectangle. Okay, now I'm gonna get exit. I just hit the escape to get exit from this command, and then once I'm done, I can just start drawing the circle. I'm gonna draw 6 of them. Okay, I'm gonna start draw the first one. Click to make sure you snap. If it's not like snap automatically, you need to go to here, the object snap, and you need to turn on the center, this selection. Okay. So once I selected the center point, I'm gonna specify either the radius or the diameter, as you see in the command bar. So this time I'm gonna enter the diameter, so I'm gonna hit D, and then I'm gonna specify the diameter as 1. Okay. So once I'm done, I can just simply copy this one to the rest 5 locations. I'm gonna use my copy command, or you can type copy in the command bar. Okay, hit copy, and then I'm gonna select this circle, and then once I'm done, he asks me continue selecting object. So I'm done with it, so I'm gonna hit enter or spacebar to skip from this to the next step of this command. Okay, and then I need to specify the base point. I'm gonna select this center point. I'm gonna click, and then now I can just start drawing the circle. So now, because I want to snap the center point, that's the reason it's automatic snaps is because I turn on the midpoint. So if not, you can turn it on also. Another way to help you do that is to use this one. It's called a object snap tracking. Okay, so that means every time I snap, maybe I can snap here, and then I can just go along, and you automatically create a line to help me drawing other stuff. Okay, so just let you know that if you turn it on, it can help you draw a lot of stuff. Okay, so now I'm gonna copy it to the center point, and then I'm gonna copy it to here, copy it to here, copy it to here, and copy it to here. Okay, once I'm done, I click escape to get exit. Okay, once I'm done, I click exit to get exit from this command. Okay, so I don't need this inner rectangle anymore, so I'm gonna select it and hit delete, or you can use the erase tool to erase it, and then select the object I want to do the erase, and then hit enter to delete it. Once I'm done, I will use the fillet tool to do the fillet for the 4 corners. I'm gonna launch it, and then I'm gonna, according to the command bar, it says to select the first object or use other functions. So this is actually a polyline. Okay, so I'm gonna hit P to tell the command that, oh, the next thing, the object I'm gonna work on is a polyline. Okay, so I'm gonna enter the radius, type R, and then I'm gonna specify the fillet radius as 1, and I'm gonna select the 2D polyline. So I'm gonna put my mouse here, and you see that it will already give you the effect. So that's the effect I want. So I'm gonna select it. If I click this line, it will automatically generate simultaneously there's 4 transition curves. Okay. So once I'm done, I want to use the offset tool to do the offset to get the center line, 2 center lines for this inner circle. Okay. So now, because it's the whole object, so I want to do the explosion here. Click, and we're gonna select this object and hit enter, so that now all the lines becomes individual lines. Now I can do the offset tool to get the center point here. Okay, so I'm gonna use offset, and then specify the distance. Here I'm gonna specify that 5, and I'm gonna select this line and move it to here. And similarly, I'm gonna launch it again, the offset tool, and this time I'm gonna specify the distance as 10, because the whole length is 20, right? So I'm gonna enter 10, and I'm gonna select this line, and I'm gonna move it to here. Okay, once I'm done, I can start drawing the circle. This time, as you recall, we defined it as 7 as the diameter. So this time I'm gonna define it as 7 as well. So you see that probably a little bit too big for us in this project. So I'm gonna redefine the radius. There's several ways to do it. You can either redraw the circle and delete the original one, or there's another one, very handy tool, that is you launch the in the view, you launch the property in the palette section, you launch it, and then once you select it, it gives you all the information associated with this circle, so you can change the radius or the diameter from 7 to 6. Okay, so hit enter, and you see the circle becomes smaller. Similarly to a lot of things, all the object has their own unique properties, and you can change it through the property manager. Okay, you can launch it from the palette property. So once I'm done, I can start drawing these 6 center lines. But you notice that I actually forgot to create multiple layers. So I'm gonna do it now. So I'm gonna launch layer property. So once I'm done, I'm gonna make it bigger. you can always, as you recall, we always dock it on the left side, right? So instead of using the base layer, I'm gonna create several multiple layers. The first layer I'm gonna call it object. Second layer I'm gonna call it center lines. The third layer I'm gonna call it dimensions. And the fourth layer I'm gonna call it annotations. Okay. So here in the object, I'm gonna keep all those properties, but in the center line, I'm gonna change it from white to gray, and dimension, I'm gonna change it from white to yellow, and from the annotation, we're gonna change it to red. Okay. And here in the center line, instead of using the continuous line type, I'm gonna use load the center line. Okay. Once I load it, I need to make sure I select it before I hit OK. Okay, so that you see the center line now. The line type becomes center. For the line weight, we don't need to use it anymore. We don't use it yet, but probably later, if we want to print out with different line types, with a different line weight, probably I need to adjust later. But so far, you don't need to worry about it yet. So here, just make sure. Here, we can always turn on and turn off certain layer to make those layers invisible, to hide it from us. For example, because now I draw all my objects on the first layer, so I can turn it off. And then he asked me to the current layer will to be turned on. Do you want to do it or not? So I'll tell the software that yes. So I'll just turn it off, and you see that the object becomes invisible even though it's still there. So I'm gonna turn that back. Okay. So instead of using it, I'm gonna change all those stuff from the base layer to the object layer, because as I said, usually professional people they don't draw anything on the base layer. Okay, I'm gonna select it, and then this time I'm gonna use the property palette. I'm gonna change the layer from 0 to object. Okay, so I'm gonna save. So you probably didn't change anything, but every time I select it, the layer tells me to those objects selected are on the object layer. Okay, if I hit escape, it goes back to the base layer. Why every time I hit escape, it becomes base layer? It's because my current layer, I set it to base layer. So I can always set the object layer to the base layer by either the base layer as a current layer by either double-click the object layer, double-click, or I can just directly single-click this layer and then hit the green check to turn it on. Okay, so now my current layer becomes the object layer. So I can always minimize it to collapse. I need to put this two line to the center lines layer. I can either use the similar way, select it, and go to the property palette and change it to the object from the object to center line, or I can directly use this shortcut. Select it and then change it to the center line. Okay, change it to the center line. Notice I accidentally hit the date button, so I should hit the name of it. Okay, so now you see that the property of these two lines becomes the property of the center line layer instead of the object layer. So if I just make sure, if I click it, you see the layer changes to center line layer. Okay, so every time you deselect it, you can just hit the escape to deselect everything. This is very important, especially when you change the current layer, because now, for example, if I'm currently in the object layer, I want to change it to center layer as the current layer. I need to make sure that I'm not selecting anything, because if I accidentally selected anything and I change the layer, I will bring those components that I selected to that layer as well. So that's going to be really a mess. So you need to make sure every time you change your current layer, you need to hit escape to deselect everything. Okay, unless you really want to do that, you intentionally want to bring some components to the other layer. Okay, so once I'm done, I can start drawing another center line from here to here by this time gonna be, let's say, 2.9 units. So I'm gonna launch the offset tool, and then I'm gonna specify the distance at 2.9. Okay, hit enter. I'm gonna do this again, 2.9, and then specify this one to put it here, and then I'm gonna change this one to the center line layer, and then at the object layer I'm gonna start drawing the circle. Okay, so I need to make sure the circle snaps to tangent to the outer circle. If not, you can always make sure you turn the intersection or tangent on, so that the circle can snap here. You can just click and then you're done. Okay, so because I want to make sure the center line is shorter than this line, because the center line for this small circle is for this small circle, and this longer center line is for this bigger circle, right? So how to do that? There's multiple ways. I can either trim it, or I can stretch it, or I can simply click it, and then I can make it shorter. Okay, I can make it shorter. But there's an easier way, because I want to make sure it's to keep its symmetry, as well as make sure that the length from here to here to here to here and here to here are the same. Okay, so I'm gonna instead use the trim tool. I'm gonna draw an outer circle out of it. So I'm gonna draw a circle to here, and just click. Sorry, I think I accidentally clicked somewhere else. Click. Okay, so now I'm gonna launch the trim tool, and then this time I'm gonna select the object. So I'm gonna select this circle, because I'm gonna trim everything else I want based on this circle. So I'm gonna select it and then hit enter, and now I'm gonna select anything I want to trim. Okay, so once I'm done, I can deselect it using escape, and then I just delete this circle. Okay, so once I'm done, I suddenly realized that I actually also need to draw this center lines for the 6 circles. So I'm gonna change my current layer, make sure I deselect everything, change it to current layer, and then use my line tool to start drawing 4 lines here. Those 4 points, very important points, are called quadrants, and you can turn it on always through right click here and then turn it on. Okay, so I'm gonna start drawing now. Start drawing this one, and once I'm done, I can use my scaling tool to select these 2 lines and hit enter to enlarge it. Okay, so once I'm done, I can just simply use my copy tool to copy these 2 lines, hit enter, and then copy it to the rest 5 circles. Okay. So once I'm done, I'm done with this week's work. So next week I'm gonna show the annotation. For example, I can show the dimension here, but obviously I should put it into the dimension layer. Okay, I can also do dimension of the radius or diameter. Oh, why? Yeah, to make sure it turns to diameter. I'm gonna change it to diameter instead. And also, you can also add a text. Okay, just very similar to the so what we've done in the Google SketchUp, and we'll do a little bit hatch to further help the visualization of the object. Yeah, I hope you can learn something from it. And next week I'm going to talk more about this object and work more on it, and we'll talk a little bit about the homework. So hope you can feel free to watch it multiple times, and I'll see you next week, and enjoy your weekend. Yeah, bye.